Hello everyone, welcome to Marlin Chess Kids. Today I'll show you the gameplay by Robert and Alexey, and this beautiful game complete in just 17 moves. Let's see how the game play. The game starts with the pawn to d4, knight f6, c4, and after this opening, you have a very nice pawn controlling the center of the board. Then the game continues with g6, and now the white played knight c3, bishop to g7, then e4, and here again you have the very strong 3 pawn in the center of the board. The game continues with black play d6, trying to prevent the pawn to push forward, and now the white just continue to develop knight to f3. Then the black go for a short castling, and here you have the first 5 move, and at this position the white has a slightly edge in this position. After this, the white continue to play h3 to prevent the bishop to pin the knight. Then e5 was played to continue to pressure the black. e5 was played to continue to pressure and prevent the white pawn to push forward. Then the white play d5, and after this, knight to h5 was played, and now the white play g3. Then the black play a5, and the bishop goes to e2, trying to attack the knight. And after this move, knight to a6 was played, and the idea of this knight is to go from b8 to a6, then to b4, and finally check the king at c2. And this is one of the strategy for the black to play. After this, knight to h2 was played, and the idea is to can capture the knight and win a pawn in the exchange. However, after this move, the black just continue to play f5, and after this move, this is the first 10 move, the position is still equal for both sides. And if you capture the knight, bishop takes the knight, the pawn will just capture again. And if you queen capture, then the black can play knight to c5, attacking the pawn, and you have 2 pieces attack the pawn. And if you use the pawn to capture, then the knight can go to d3 and check the queen, and here the white will not have the chance to castle in this position. So if you move the king goes to e2, then the bishop you just capture it back, and after this position, the black is clearly better with much more method to attack the white in this version. Therefore, after the black play f5, the white just capture the pawn, and after capture, now you have the rook takes f5, and this is a very strong move. And also with this move, the white can attack the pawn at f2. However, in this version, the white continue to play g4, and this attack is a double attack and for the knight and the rook. And in this version, one of the nice moves that the black play is play a rook sacrifice by capturing the pawn at f2. And after this capture, is give up the knight. So in this game, the white just capture the knight, and this is a mistake in the game. So back to this position, if you capture the rook, for example, king takes, then the queen, you just go to h4 and check the king. So after queen check, and now the king cannot go back to this position, and you have only 3 safe square. So if you choose the king to g2, then the queen, you just continue to go to g3 and continue to check. And if the king goes to f1, then queen, you just capture the pawn and continue to check. And the king here cannot go to e1. So this will not be a very good space for the king. Therefore, king go to g1, then the queen continue to check. And if the king back to f1, then queen continue to check again. And back to g1, then queen to g3, continue to check. Then king to f1, then you back to queen to h3, and you have the perpetual check, and the game will be draw. So back to this position, after the check, if you choose the king to move down, then the queen can just continue to check. And here, if you try to go up, it's the same, that the queen will go to g3 and continue to check, and the position will be continued and will be repeated, and it will be a draw. So back to this position, after queen check, and now 3 of these move green color will be a draw for this game. And let's say if you choose the king move up to f3, then queen will continue to check, and it will be mate in the very next move. For example, at this position, the king only have 1 square to move, that is a king to e4, and with this you have the very nice knight to c5 checkmate the king, or the knight to f6 checkmate the king. So you have a very nice knight checkmate in this position, and the king is in the center of the board. For example, knight to c5, and it's a checkmate, and the king cannot go to anywhere, it's fully controlled by the black. So another example, if you move the knight to f6, and it will be checkmate as well, and the white is fully controlled by the black. So back to this position, if you choose the king to move to e3, then the knight, the bishop will continue to check at f6. You have the diagonal check, and again at this position, all these 3 squares will be a very bad move for the white. So if you choose the king to move to d3, the knight will just continue to check, and this control the black to escape to c2, and at the same time the knight will check the king, and the bishop also control the square, and the pawn control the e4 square. And with this, the king have to go to e4, and after this again you have a bishop diagonal check, a very nice check, and this pawn cannot be captured because it's being pinned by the queen. And with this, the king just back to 1 space, which is king to f3, then you have a queen to g3 checkmate. So you have a very nice checkmate at this position. And again, if you move the king to f3, then the queen will just continue to g3 check, and now the king only have 1 space to move to king e4. And at this position again, you have the knight checkmate by both of the knight, either to c5 or knight to f6 checkmate. So back to this position. After the rook capture, the white used the pawn to capture the knight, and with this move, Queen h4 was played and preparing to have the open check. And also the rook can just capture the knight and capture the rook at h1, and this allowed the open check. So with this move, the king tried to escape to d2, and with this escape, the black is clearly winning the game. After this move, the knight just continued to play knight b4, and this strong knight will just prevent the king to escape and also control the square at d3. So after this move, the white just play queen to g1, and this is another mistake which allowed the black to win the game. And with this move, the best move for the black to play and we make into is just to play queen to d4 and check the king, and the queen will just protect the rook. And with this move, just leave the king to move king to e1, and the next will be knight to c2, and it will be a checkmate by the knight. So in the actual game, after queen to g1, the black play bishop to h6 to have the diagonal check. And after this move, the king moved to h1. King moved to d1. And after this move, the queen continued to check. And with this, the king just moved back to e1. And here you have the knight to c2 checkmate again. And here you have a very nice knight checkmate. And with this, thank you.